smiled Mrs. Kendall. "I thought I knew your face. And how is your mother?" For some minutes the two ladies chatted pleasantly of things and people far removed from the hurrying throng about them, and Mrs. Kendall said in a low voice, "As you say you are to be here for some little time, Miss Darrell, would you mind keeping an eye on Margaret for a few minutes? I have an errand across the street, and I would rather not take her. She will give you no trouble, I am sure, for she quite prides herself on her ability to take care of herself." "I should love to do it," declared Miss Darrell, and with a smile Mrs. Kendall turned to her daughter. "Margaret," she began gently, "Mother has an errand to do, something she wants to get at a store. It isn't far, just down a little way across the street, but she doesn't want to take you. Do you suppose you can stay here on one of these seats until she comes back? Miss Darrell will be here too, so you will not be alone. Will you stay, dear?" Margaret frowned and looked away. "Margaret would prefer to go too," she said emphatically. "Yes, I know, dear, but we can't do what we prefer to do all the time, sweetheart. The street is full of teams and people, and I don't want you with me when I cross it. So I am very sure you are going to be my brave, patient little daughter and wait right here until I come back. Isn't that so, dear?" There was plainly a struggle, but in the end Margaret smiled, even though she sighed. "Yes, Mother, I suppose so," she admitted. "But please hurry," she added, as her mother helped her up onto one of the long seats. "Of course I'll hurry, precious," promised Mrs. Kendall with a kiss. "Now don't stir from this seat, dear, else Mother won't know where to find you. I'm sure she can trust you. Good-bye." And with a smile and a nod to Miss Darrell, she was gone. In appealing to her daughter's courage, Mrs. Kendall had done a wise thing, as she well knew. Such an appeal was seldom made in vain. Margaret's father, who had died when Margaret was a year old, had been a soldier, and whether it were a hurt finger or a rainy day that threatened to bring tears to Margaret's eyes, the warning, "Soldiers' daughters don't cry," never failed to bring a smile so brave that the tears could not fall. "Of course I'll hurry," Mrs. Kendall was murmuring as she sped through the station doorway. "Dear child, but I'll be back before she scarcely knows I am gone." The clerks, however, were busy when Mrs. Kendall reached the store, and there was considerable delay before she could leave with her purchase. Perhaps it was this that quickened her steps almost to a run, or perhaps it was the memory of a wistful yet bravely smiling face under a wide hat brim. Whatever it was, Mrs. Kendall was certainly keeping her promise to hurry as she stepped from the curbstone and started to cross the street. Was it a careless chauffeur or a wet cobblestone? No one seemed to know afterwards. But there came a scream, hoarse cries, and then the rush of many feet. Later, a limp, unconscious form in a bedraggled dress of blue was lifted by tender hands into the ambulance which had been hastily summoned, and which at once drove away with its burden. Back in the street, 3 policemen tried to bring order out of the chaos of shouting, gesticulating men and boys, and in the confusion no one noticed the little urchin that dived under a wagon and captured a lady's handbag, small, expensively made, and bearing the monogram AWK. "Whew! Wasn't she a swell one?" cried the boy a minute later, as he was examining his treasure in the seclusion of an alleyway nearby. "Whew!" He whistled again, as he stuffed silver and bills into his pockets. "I reckon the gang gets a spree tonight, all right." He paused and gazed with frowning eyes at what was left in his lap. 2 keys, 2 trunk checks, a card or two, and a letter addressed to Mrs. Frank Kendall. I reckon this is best for them,"